At this time, would you please stand as we prepare for the national anthem played by 2021 Morgan State University Astronaut Scholar alum, Michaela Harris, with the presentation of colors by the University of Central Florida Army ROTC Color Guard.
At the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, we honor the thirst for exploration.
From the legends who blazed the trail,
to those of us inspired to continue their legacy.
We are on a mission of discovery.
We are fueled by the possibilities before us.
We are the Astronaut Scholars.
Our nation's most talented college students in
science, technology,
engineering, and math.
It was a mission born nearly 40 years ago from the hearts of our early space pioneers to keep America as a world leader in technology and innovation.
These heroic explorers made a commitment to support the next generation of young, exceptional minds, to give them the tools and power to leave their own footprint in society.
When I was selected to the Astronaut Hall of Fame, I finally understood at that point the importance of ASF, of motivating this generation of kids that are coming up and giving them a chance with scholarships and mentorships and stuff like that. And the goal that ASF was aiming for and fulfilling and realizing, it was changing lives of these young scholars.
ASF continues to change lives. Over the past 38 years, ASF has awarded more than $7 million to over 600 college students pursuing STEM degrees. Our impact spans coast to coast at 45 of our nation's best universities.
This past year, that reach deepened.
ASF received a $1 million grant from Blue Origin's nonprofit, Club for the Future.
The generous donation led ASF to create the Founders for the Future program in honor of the original Mercury 7 astronauts and founders of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation.
Now, ASF will select an additional 7 astronaut scholars for the next 7 years.
The result? We're shaping more STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Game changers here in America.
This impact across America wouldn't be possible without you.
Your support fuels our critical mission.
It keeps the dream of space alive,
while ushering in diverse scientific and technological advancements destined to benefit all of humanity.
Thank you for sharing our passion for progress.
Together, we will build promise and hope for a brighter future.
Congratulations to the 2022 Astronaut Scholars. And thank you to our sponsors for fueling the next generation of game changers.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our astronaut scholar class of 2022 right here. Yeah. Woo. And thank you, Impact Drum Corps, for that incredible entrance. Scholars, you may take your seats. You got a big evening, you got to accept awards, you got a lot of things to do, and then you got to save humanity. So we're doing all that tonight. That's good. Wow. Aren't you glad you're here tonight for this wonderful event, the Neil Armstrong Award and the Innovators? What a great conference this has been. Also, a big thank you to Michaela and the University of Central Florida Army ROTC. Great way to kick off the evening. I'm your friendly host, as I've been honored to be since the inception of the Neil Armstrong Award for Excellence, and a part of this special program. Mark Larson from San Diego. I'm in radio and TV. I'm chairman of the Air and Space Museum there as well. And my wife and I have been proud supporters of ASF for a long time, inspired by Wally Schirra, my mentor in many ways, and Scott Carpenter. So welcome to the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation's Innovators Gala, featuring the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence. We're excited to honor astronaut scholar alum Trent Kingery as our award recipient this year, and to welcome the new class of astronaut scholars. You saw a little bit of a glimpse of that on the video, and yeah, I always feel more encouraged. If I think the world is going in the wrong direction and whatever, you know, there's always the good, the bad, the ugly. That's you know, life and in the world. But then when I come here, I feel really, really inspired, and I know you do too, and we just are barely getting started. At this time, we'd like to recognize all the active and retired military with us tonight. I want to thank you for your service, honor you, thank you for being here. And as always, we have people here, you know, probably people seated to your right or left. Everyone's a VIP. You could, this is where I normally would say, introduce yourself to the person to the right and tell you, you know, how great you are. But you'd be amazed who's there in the darkness with you, fumbling around in the salad now, which is okay. For example, Apollo 17 lunar module pilot and tonight's keynote speaker, Harrison Schmitt, who is here tonight. Shuttle astronaut and ASF board chairman Kurt Brown, right over here. Shuttle astronaut and ASF board member Charlie Precourt. Charlie, where? Back here. Shuttle astronaut and ASF board member, Scott Altman, but I'm going to get to Ron Sega first. Astronaut scholarship, Scott, hello. Scooter always gets me thrown off. Shuttle astronaut Ron Sega. Ron? And shuttle astronaut and ASF board member Scott Scooter Altman, here tonight as well. Scott, where are you? Back there. I just noticed your font was larger and more bold. Did you do that? Appreciate it. Shuttle astronaut Rick Mastracchio here tonight as well. Shuttle astronaut, you see a trend here. Shuttle astronaut and ASF board member Chris Ferguson, among other things, he happened to be commanding STS-135. Shuttle astronaut Michael Fossum, here tonight. If you get a chance, ask either of those gentlemen, the last two, either Chris or Mike, about the bungee cord incident. Yeah, you share it, I pick it up. That was on the ISS. Shuttle astronaut Karen Nyberg, here tonight, I think. Shuttle astronaut Doug Hurley. Yeah, it's nice coming out of the couple of years of COVID season 1 and 2, and now into season 3. It's like the worst miniseries ever. But earlier season, we did the virtual kind of thing, and active NASA astronaut and astronaut scholar alum Christina Cook, here with us tonight, as opposed to being virtual, working last year. Former Apollo flight director, the legendary Jerry Griffin, is here tonight. Apparently all the Griffins sit at that table. It's interesting. Right, Mike? Okay, good. Who else is here tonight? Chief of Flight Director Office Norm Knight, here tonight. NASA Flight Director and Astronaut Scholar alum Fiona Tourette, and Fiona, great to see you. Again, just another one of these overachieving scholars. This is what they do. They get the big gigs, and we're so proud of you and all of you, but Fiona especially with what you have going on now. So extra round of applause for Fiona as well. It's fun for me over the years to see these people come up and, you know, they start with the scholars, and all of a sudden they're doing such big things. And to think that we're all here tonight to see where we go in the future with all the tonight's scholars. We have NASA's Johnson Space Center Deputy Director Steve Kerner with us as well. NASA's Kennedy Space Center Deputy Director Kelvin Manning and his wife Judy over here. And over in a different time zone at the Griffin table, Mike Griffin is over there with Becky, and it's former NASA Administrator and former Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, Mike Griffin. The only man in this room who made breakfast for me once in Huntsville. The bacon was exquisite. He actually cooked tonight. You're gonna love it. He did a great job. Also like to thank Rick and Mark Armstrong for representing the legacy of their late father, Gemini and Apollo astronaut Neil Armstrong. That's why we're here tonight, of course. Rick and Mark, thank you for your leadership on this and stepping up. Thank you. Also here tonight, Alan Russa, Rosemary Russa as well, representing the legacy of their late father, Apollo astronaut Stu Russa. And thank you so much for representing so well as you do year-round. We appreciate all of you for your support of our astronaut scholars. We have a lot of people who, based on their schedules, couldn't be here tonight as well, because this is a worldwide, intergalactic impact with ASF. And you're part of it tonight, and it is exciting to be here. So as you're enjoying the first course tonight, just continue to advance through there. We're not waiting for etiquette, because they'll come and take it away if you don't eat it. By the way, this is a good time to thank our servers here as well. They do a great job, because a lot of times the servers, the kitchen staff, the caterers, you know, after a couple of years of COVID seasons 1 and 2 and now into 3, it's hard to get people who, I just really appreciate people coming to work, and I know you do as well. So thank you, men and women, for all you're doing to be part of this big event tonight. Right now, I'd like to introduce the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation's president and CEO, Caroline Schumacher, along with veteran of 6 space shuttle missions, 3 of which he commanded. Most importantly, he's our ASF chairman, Kurt Brown. Caroline and Kurt, come to the stage if you would, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'll try to talk at about 1/10 the speed of Larson, okay? So I'm a little bit from the South, so here we go. No, but seriously, thank you all for being here tonight. It's a wonderful event. Of all the ASF events I've been to over the years, which have been a few, this one, the Innovators Gala, is by far the best event that we have. This is our mission. We get to meet our new scholars tonight. They are amazing. It is such a pleasure to welcome this year's astronaut scholar class. These scholars truly are shaping the future through the research and the new technology developments and innovation. They are going to be improving the world that we'll be living in the future. They really, really are. And if you've been to our technical conferences that happened yesterday and this morning, it gives you great hope for the future of the United States and our nation. We are very proud to have the astronaut legacy carried on through each of our astronaut scholars. A big thank you goes to Mr. Hayes, Jim Hayes, a friend of Neil Armstrong, who has made it possible to establish the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence. In addition, I want to personally thank Rick and Mark Armstrong and the Armstrong family for their continued support of ASF and the astronaut scholars. And of course, I would definitely like to congratulate the 2022 astronaut scholars. You are now part of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation family, and as family, we do expect something out of you. Just like family, we expect you to come home often and tell us of your adventures, both good and bad. And we're going to celebrate the good ones, and the bad ones we'll kind of talk about. But at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our president and CEO of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, Caroline Schumacher.
Now, I thought it was going to become tradition that you handed me a bottle of wine every time you turned over the mic to me, but if you were here last year, we were just excited to be back in person, and so this year we're excited to be back in person again, because it always feels like an unknown now, right? So thank you, Kurt. Welcome, everyone. We're so excited. If it's your first time at Innovators Gala, this is a special treat to spend this evening celebrating our scholars. It really is quite something. This is my favorite week of the year because we're really immersed in our mission. This brings it to life. We work all year for this. Our legendary astronauts, our heroes, we honor them during Hall of Fame Gala, but all of that is to fuel the future, and that's all of you scholars. We know it has been a tremendous experience so far, and we want you to just enjoy tonight. You're the spotlight. You're the featured guests. So just enjoy. We had a drum corps for you. We believe in you and look forward to all that you accomplished, and as I like to say, our future is bright because of you. We are pleased to have all of you with us this evening to share with everyone a little bit about the week that they have been enjoying, the scholars, and learning. They were welcomed Wednesday evening by our Astronaut Scholar alum and ASF Vice Chairman, Lisa Schott. That was wonderful. How special is it that a scholar welcomes all of these scholars into our ASF family at day one? They heard an in-depth lecture by Executive Creative Director of Walt Disney Imagineering, Scott Malwitz, and participated in a special meet and greet with shuttle astronaut, artist, and author Nicole Stott. On Thursday, we took a tour, which they didn't know where they were going. So everyone arrived on Wednesday, and they had no idea where they were going. They got the golden ticket with space ice cream and found out they were headed to Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. And I was pretty surprised to find out how many had not been to the visitor complex before. And this included an in-depth Apollo 17 mission talk by lunar module pilot Harrison Schmitt, and shuttle astronaut Charlie Precourt joined us as we toured through Atlantis. The last 2 days inspired us as we learned about the work being conducted by our astronaut scholars during the technical conference. It challenges us. We didn't know our vocabulary was lacking so much. You guys know a whole heck of a lot more than we do. Now, I have loads of gratitude to share before I turn the mic back over, and I'll start by thanking the Purdue Research Foundation, Armstrong family, and Jim Hayes. Because of you, we have the opportunity to celebrate the achievements of the astronaut scholars as they leave an impact in their field of STEM. And before I move on to our event sponsors, I have a few special mentions this evening. It's hard to narrow down special mentions, but you're really not here to hear me talk. Later in the evening, our scholars will be called up to receive their Astronaut Scholarship Foundation certificate. As each scholar is introduced, we will recognize any sponsor that's associated with the scholarships from their respective schools. Currently, we are blessed to have 50 out of 68 scholarships partially or fully funded by our generous supporters. It's pretty amazing. And that includes our newly established Founders for the Future program that we established when we received the $1 million grant from Club for the Future, which is the nonprofit arm of Blue Origin. Our sponsors who underwrite these scholarships provide significant support to the foundation, and we're just beyond grateful. It allows us to continually grow the number of scholars as well as enrich our program offerings to make this scholarship so unique and special, because it really is different than any other scholarship. And if it's not, if we're duplicating some effort, let me know, because I want to make us better than the others. I would also like to thank a new friend of the foundation, Robert Holmes with ServPro, for coming forward to sponsor our astronaut scholar from Syracuse this year. This sponsorship is in honor of Harrison Schmitt and the Apollo 17 crew. Thank you for your support and honor. Robert can't be with us this evening, though. And if you didn't catch on to the Founders for the Future program, it's in honor of our Mercury 7 astronauts. We added 7 additional scholars for 7 years. Isn't that clever? And that's in honor, of course, of the Mercury 7 Alan Shepard, John Glenn, Scott Carpenter, Gordon Cooper, Wally Schirra, Deke Slayton, and Gus Grissom. It was 1984 when the 6 surviving astronauts of the Mercury 7 came together and established the Mercury 7 Foundation, now the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. The Founders for the Future program honors their legacy. So it's kind of, if you're one of those scholars that has that as your sponsor, that's pretty neat that you get to be tied to that. As the foundation grew, the torch was passed from the Mercury astronauts to future astronauts to carry on the support of the scholars. Tonight, we have the privilege of not only celebrating our astronaut scholars, but also commemorating the upcoming 50th anniversary of Apollo 17. This final mission of the Apollo program was the last time that man was on the lunar surface. We are extremely honored to have Apollo 17 lunar module pilot Harrison Schmitt with us tonight as our keynote speaker. It's pretty darn cool. Harrison, thank you for joining us, and also his lovely wife, Teresa. She's a treat. We are gonna be able to hear from Harrison a little bit later. And so now join me in thanking the event sponsors who made this week and tonight possible. Our signature sponsor, Jim Hayes, thank you. Our character sponsor, SAIC. And they've actually been hanging out for most of the week. They did a really great panel discussion for professional development for our scholars, so we appreciate you very much. And they sponsor 8 scholarships. Our impact sponsors, ASRC Federal, Delaware North, Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, Northrop Grumman, Page Wolfberg and Worth, and a huge shout out to the University of Central Florida. One of our university partners comes in as a sponsor. Our inspiration sponsors, Jacobs and Oros. And Oros is actually a company that's founded and run by a scholar from 2014, Michael Marksberry from Miami University. So he's a great example of giving back. Our virtual sponsor, Carol Fitzgerald Tyler and John Tyler. And the wine on each of your tables this evening has generously been donated by, I'm gonna not say this right, but we'll go for it, Diageo Moet Hennessy. A special thanks also, cheers to the wine, come on. A special thanks also goes out to our AV team for this evening and all ASF events this year, OPAV. Andrea's Flowers for the beautiful arrangements on each of our tables. Our resident paparazzi, Emily Jordan, capturing the amazing photos all week long. Elite Beats for being our DJ at the Astronaut Scholar Tailgate. And if you didn't come to the tailgate, you missed the most intense Jenga tournament I have ever seen. 36 rows or something like that, almost world record. And then, of course, our other friends, Disney, SAIC, again, Astronaut Nicole Stott and Carol Fitzgerald Tyler for their support for our professional development program. And we also want to thank Edit House Productions, LLC, for the Apollo 17 video that will be shared later this evening. Our volunteers, who consist of some of our scholar alum, yes, they come back and work for us, for helping the ASF team and our other volunteers throughout the week. So thank you to all those volunteers who gave up their time to be here. And if I could pick on our board of directors and board of trustees, if you could stand up and give a wave, please thank all of them for coming tonight, being here throughout the week. And they do a fairly good job of keeping me in line. And last but certainly not least, my ASF team. They are super rock stars. We're a team of 10. They work so hard all year, and I love that they get to have this energizing weekend to charge them up for the next year. So thank you, ASF team. Now my shameless plug. Tonight, please take a minute to visit our pop-up store and raffle table. We have incredible items donated by Blue Origin and Laura Shepard Churchley, an S19 crew member, Copper Moon Coffee, Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, Lenovo, and Oros Apparel. So some really cool items. So go get your raffle tickets. And your new t-shirts. They have the Mercury 7 logo on them. I think that's really neat. And our program will continue shortly, but as we kick off the dinner break, we would like to share a song by Rick Armstrong titled On the Surface of Luna in honor of the historic Apollo 17 mission. Thank you so much. Have a blast.
Well, hello everyone from the anchor deck. Y'all having a good time? I can tell there's a lot of schmoozing. Your attention, please. The program is beginning. Keep your hands and arms inside the Disney World monorail at all times. Thank you. You having fun so far? Well, that was kind of weak. Are you having fun so far? All right. It's up to, if you're not having fun at your table with what we're doing here for the future of all things good, then you're probably the one who needs to make it more fun at your table. Just not during the program, but as you meet. Yeah, it's so much fun. You meet new people. I always say this every year when we do the special event for the Neil Armstrong Award. Just being in the room when you get here, it takes about 20 or 30 minutes. For me, it takes about 2 minutes. With all these scholars and all these people who have literally made history, I like Jack Schmitt. You just marinate in this, and you suddenly feel like your IQ goes up a couple notches because you're just absorbing smart. So that's a good thing. And think about the people who should be here tonight, who maybe one day will. Maybe they'll support ASF like you do, and you're supporting by being here. We also have a little letter envelope there for you at the table to maybe help you support a little bit more. Because this is what it's about. I mean, the vision of the Mercury 7 astronauts, and if those gentlemen could see what ASF is doing now, because their vision was huge to start all of this, but they would be so proud, and I'm sure they're getting bulletins intergalactically. So thanks again to the hotel here at the Hilton, and for all the great men and women who are serving us tonight. Never want to forget to say thank you often. I'd like to kick off tonight's program here at the post-dinner segment here with the fun stuff with the scholars, and you'll meet them all in just a minute, and you'll hear from Jack Schmitt in a while as well. But kicking things off in this segment, I'd like to introduce SAIC's Senior Vice President of the Space Business Unit, David Ray. And before he joins us on stage, this will be his kind of walk-on. I'd like you to direct your attention to the screens, and we'll watch a special video from our friends at SAIC.
It's been said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. For over 50 years, SAIC has embraced the unknown. Mission focused to build a tomorrow that works for everyone. Bold transformations, digital ingenuity. The explosive, thrillingly awesome power of tech. That's what inspires us. So no matter what the future holds, we're ready to bring on tomorrow.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good time tonight. I am certainly enjoying myself. Give yourselves a round of applause. It's such a beautiful audience tonight. Give yourself a round of applause. It's such a pleasure to be here, celebrating and advancing the noble efforts of the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. As mentioned earlier, my name is David Ray, and I'm Senior Vice President of the Space Business Unit at SAIC. I'm also SAIC's executive sponsor for our wonderful relationship in support of this Astronaut Foundation. We're headquartered in Reston, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., and we're one of the premier Fortune 500 companies that really focus on integrating and driving our nation's technology transformation in the areas of systems and digital engineering, artificial intelligence, and mission solutions. I'm honored to be here tonight to celebrate with you all, parents, students, astronauts, board members, as well as the team here for the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. Innovators Week is special for SAIC, not only as a sponsor, but it provides us an opportunity to speak to future leaders across the STEM disciplines. Yesterday, we hosted a panel discussion with 5 SAIC leaders with various career paths and backgrounds within the space domain. My colleagues were able to participate in an interactive and robust discussion. We look forward to the partnership with the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation and for all the things that are to come, because our future is bright. Last year's Innovators Week helped us secure a great intern, so we're taking and really leveraging our partnership and providing avenues into our company so that we can take the bright minds of today and really help allow it to benefit the companies inside of our community as well as in our industry. I've been so excited to see the benefits of that and everything it's had to offer. SAIC is proud of our long-standing partnership with the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. Since 2017, we've supported 15 scholarships to deserving students at multiple universities. This past May, we were pleased to participate in the Morgan State ceremony honoring Astronaut Scholarship Foundation recipients Michaela Harris and Michaela Fleetwood. Both are incredible students with bright futures. Now, as mentioned earlier by yes, give them a round of applause. As mentioned earlier, you know, we as a collective group, we've been around for a few days hanging out with the scholars. We participated in the panel. And one thing, if I could think about the pieces of advice I could give to those scholars is, you know, when I stand and I have these conversations with these bright minds, you know, I'm just in awe of the possibilities of what America can be, what our people can be, and what our society can be, with all that they're going to be giving to us and what they do and how they do it day in and day out. Truly first-class individuals. The two pieces of advice that I would give is, first, this is the start of a journey. Build your network. The people that are with you through this journey are going to be future leaders. You're going to be doing great things and really providing impact to society. The tightness you have and your ability to really build those bonds long-term are going to make us greater in every aspect, because with a strong chain becomes strong opportunity for us to be better each and every day. Grab on to the mentors in this room and learn and understand that, continue to push yourselves and understand that learning is a continuous journey. You know, what you know now is going to be different than what you learn moving forward. And as we all can attest in this room, through the journeys of life, as you grow and have families, you know, you'll begin to understand and appreciate the foundation you have and how it benefits you in every other aspect, even outside of the world of academia. So please take that and really enjoy it, and it's going to be a great ride. I am inspired by all of the students here who are about to embark on an exciting STEM career in space and beyond. I'm inspired by the distinguished speakers and astronauts we have with us tonight. As the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence espouses, I encourage all of you to continue to inspire, discover, and innovate in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The future of space is not only bright and exciting, it is critically important for the generations to come. And you are starting a journey, not only for your generations, but the generations after you. And I'm so proud to be a part of this night. Thank you so much. Everyone have a great evening.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate that and your support of ASF. At this time, I'd like to welcome back to the stage Astronaut, Commander, Man About Town, a lot of things, ASF Board Chairman Kurt Brown, as we recognize the 2022 Astronaut Scholarship class. And what's especially nice is Kurt's got this down, so he watches a lot of Wheel of Fortune and with Vanna White. He has the skills, he has the moves now, and it's really quite breathtaking. And I know Mary loves that at home when you practice. Really does.
Is there a way to unplug that?
No. We have a long list, because tonight we are proud, on this very stage, we are proud to host 60. Hey, if you can't have a sense of humor, we're doing great things here. You're part of it. Yay. Hello. He's doing his commander thing over here. I know. Anyway, we're proud to host 60 of this year's 68 recipients here with us tonight, along with 19 Astronaut Scholar alumni in attendance. Would all of our Astronaut Scholar alumni please stand here in the dark, but we'll find you anyway. We have ways. Astronaut scholars are immersed in science and technology, engineering, mathematics. They're becoming astronomers, biologists, chemists, computer scientists, physicists, aerospace engineers, and leaders in many other fields, which would take the whole program to. I'm just trying to get through my radio and TV career and then maybe become a notary public someday. That's where I'm going. I'm trying to. These are the high achievers. Again, we all feel smarter in their presence. Thank you, Commander. How many shuttle planes? 6? I know. I went to the Hall of Fame today. How many of you have been to the over to KSC to see the Hall of Fame, the new legends? That is awesome. And when ASF does the annual Hall of Fame, that's another thing to come back and visit. That is phenomenal. The stories, so many people go, well, they're doing this rocket stuff. Every one of those missions, every one of those tasks, unbelievable. And should be remembered forever, and that's why the Hall of Fame is there as well. Okay, here we go. Play along at home if you like. Please, no wagering. First up, from Miami University, sponsored by the Founders for the Future, Elise Bellinger. From the University of Minnesota, sponsored by the Don and Lorraine Freeberg Foundation, Madeline Blake. Next up, Kathleen Bostic, Spelman College, sponsored by the astronaut Bernard Harris and the HBCU Astronaut Group. From Georgia Institute of Technology, sponsored by the Georgia Tech Astronaut Scholar alumni, Colin Burnett. Okay, Kurt, pace yourself, because you don't want to blow out a hip. There's a lot more to go. So far, so good. Watch the turns. From University of Rochester, Lauren Cardani. Representing Texas A&M University, sponsored by matching funds from Texas A&M University, Mac Cleveland. Mac Cleveland right here. It's like Aggie time tonight, you know. From Louisiana State University, Louisiana, if you like, sponsored by matching funds from LSU, Rachel Coates. This winter, he'll be personally thawing out every lake in Minnesota. It's going to be great. Big job. From Syracuse University, sponsored by Robert Holmes in honor of astronaut Harrison Schmitt, here's Matthew Kufari. From Clemson University, Gabriel Cutter. This is where the MC, your friendly host, me, Mark Larson, welcome if you're just joining us. I mean, some of you got to the bar early, so hi, I'm the host. And sometimes the MC has, we've gone through painstaking training. A special shout out, by the way, to Sabrina and Justine, especially. I'm going to give them a special shout out because every year We go through all the pronunciations of, in this case, 60 different names. There's actually 68 total, but 60 who are here with us. So it's embarrassing if I mispronounce. So we have elocution lessons. We go back to the green room. We work through this, and phonetically. I learned English phonetically, so I'm still working on this. So if I happen to botch a pronunciation, because this is where it starts getting really interesting, just know we've practiced very hard. And if we screw up your name, talk to Kurt. But anyway. From the University of California, Berkeley, and I'm in California, so I'm living the California dream. Sponsored by Valerie and astronaut Ox van Hoften, here is Natish Deshora. Huh? Did I screw it up? No, perfect. One down, good. From the University of Oklahoma, I had breakfast with Tom Stafford, General Stafford, this morning. Mumbles, Oklahoma. What a legend he is. Oklahoma, the University. He was doing the introduction. He goes, University of Oklahoma, sponsored by Founders for the Future. Love Tom. Please welcome Cora DiFrancesco. From the University of Wisconsin-Madison, here's Sarah Fahlberg. Kurt, you just tell me anytime you need the understudy. Anytime you need the understudy, if you can't go on, we'll pull. Mike Griffin would come in and report. He doesn't know that, but. Representing Colorado State University, sponsored by the Marion Esser Kaufman Foundation, here's Abigail Fennell. From University of Colorado, Boulder, sponsored by Founders of the Future, Alexandria Gladkova. Representing the University of Central Florida, sponsored by SAIC, Sanjeev Gershani. From Purdue University, sponsored by Kathleen and astronaut Dick Covey and the Covey Love Legacy Foundation, here's Jacob Halpern. Jacob Halpern right here. From Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, sponsored by Founders of the Future. And again, you saw that in the video. That's an important way to get the funding with the vision of the founders of ASF, the original 7, to expand the number of scholarships. Please welcome Lennon Headley. Lennon Headley. Right. From Johns Hopkins University, sponsored by SCIC, here's Elizabeth Hedrick. From Tufts University, please welcome Emily Henrich. Here from the Georgia Institute of Technology, sponsored by SAIC, is Jim James. You notice I nailed that pronunciation really well. Nailed it. From University of Wisconsin-Madison, sponsored by Kathy and astronaut Brewster Shaw, here's William Jarvis. Saw him in the video earlier. From University of Washington, here's Jessica Jelke. Are you feeling smarter already? No. Representing University of California, Berkeley, sponsored by Citadel Securities, here's Arun Johnson. From Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, sponsored by the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Astronaut Alumni, Blue Origin, and Aldrin Family Foundation, here's Jared Jordan. Next up, sponsored by Lenovo from North Carolina State University, Caleb Kivelny. David Kivelny, or Kiveni. From Pennsylvania State University, Ellie Kim. Next up, sponsored by Jacobs, from the University of Texas at Austin, Hannah Lee. From North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, sponsored by astronaut Bernard Harris and the HCBU Astronaut Group, here's Today Lewis. From Louisiana State University, sponsored by matching funds from Louisiana State University, Cale Locicero. Now sponsored by Valkyrie and the Founders for the Future from Harvey Mudd College, please welcome Amani Minasila. From Johns Hopkins University, sponsored by SAIC, here's Ellie Rose Mattoon. Representing Purdue University, sponsored by Jim Hayes, our signature sponsor, in memory of astronaut Gene Cernan. Thanks, Jim. Here's Ariana McNamara. From University of Central Florida, sponsored by matching funds from the University of Central Florida, here's Catherine Millwater. Sounds like you have some of your peeps here. That's good. You got a good cheering section. From the University of Illinois, sponsored by Founders for the Future, please welcome Ethan Moore. Here from Miami University is Michael Marsan. Representing Ohio State University, please welcome Rakesh Murugesan. From Florida Institute of Technology, sponsored by Blue Origin and matching funds from the Florida Institute of Technology, here's Ruth Nichols. From the University of Virginia, sponsored by SAIC, here's Theo O'Neill. And Peeps. Nice. Representing University of Colorado Boulder, sponsored by Steve and Jill Worth, in memory of astronaut Scott Carpenter. Good call, Steve and Jill, thank you. From the University of Colorado Boulder, here's Maya Palmer. From Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, sponsored by SAIC, please welcome Timothy Proudkey. Was that Dad out there? Yeah, that's Dad. Oh, yeah, Dad's going to take that to the police. Or the National Enquirer. Let's hear it for proud parents who do that. I love that. From Morgan State University, sponsored by SAIC, astronaut Bernard Harris and the HBCU Astronaut Group, here's Sarai Rinkin. Here from North Dakota State University, Max Salzer. Here sponsored by Citadel Securities from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Please welcome Akila Saravanan. You notice the names are getting more difficult in this final stretch. This is how this rolls. University of Arizona, here's Zachary Schlamowitz. He's right here. He's right here. Sponsored by Copper Moon Coffee and matching funds from the Florida Institute of Technology. And from the Florida Institute of Technology, here's Samantha Shakira, or Shakira if you prefer, which she does. Samantha Shakira. From University of Central Florida, sponsored by matching funds from the University of Central Florida, please welcome Angela Shar. Representing the University of Michigan, here's Anna Simpson. From Utah State University, sponsored by astronaut Mary Cleve and Northrop Grumman, here's Tucker Skinner. From Michigan State University, sponsored by Founders for the Future, please welcome Britton Steele. So Kurt, you feeling a little bit like Oprah here? Everybody gets a car, everybody gets a certificate. There's no cars, by the way, so you know. There's no computer chips. You got to fix that problem, so that's fine. Next up, University of Oklahoma's Mulan Tang. And sponsored by SAIC from USC, the University of Southern California, here's Kaylee Sang. Sponsored by matching funds from the University of Chicago. Here from the University of Chicago is Wilson Turner. Here from the Colorado School of Mines, sponsored by matching funds from the Colorado School of Mines. Please welcome Paul Verosi. And next up, sponsored by Ray Gilday in honor of Mississippi astronauts from Mississippi State University, here's Emma Wade. From Clemson University, sponsored by Tranquility Masonic Lodge number 2000 and the McGuinn Family Foundation. And here from Clemson University is Grant Wilkins. More Aggies. Texas A&M University, sponsored by the Rayford Family Foundation. Please welcome Kevin Yao. One of my favorite moments last year was that we got to the point with the last man standing, just like last year. At least people here with us did. For the Colorado School of Mines. We did this last year, same thing, right? Sponsored by Marion Esser Kaufman Foundation and Northrop Grumman. This guy has no personality, but he's got a lot of personality. He's a lot of fun. My man, Mason Weems. We got this thing going. This is good. Nice job.
Why, thank you.
Same time next year.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. Just sit comfortably, because... Oh, my God. Mary's going to need therapy for years. I do not want to know how much he practiced that at home. Leave it on all night, Kurt. Mary, you must be so proud. Six space shuttle missions. Rastafarian. What is that going on? We'd like to recognize. It's going to take a while to get over that for all of us. We need the Men in Black thing where they zap us so we can get that memory out of our head. We'd like to recognize the 2022 scholars who could not be here with us this evening. So if I mispronounce these, watch the video. You can applaud smartly at each one. From University of Kentucky, Kaylee Bolton. Can never get that image out of my mind now. From Purdue University, sponsored by matching funds from Purdue University, Ethan Brady. From the United States Air Force Academy, sponsored by Mary and long-haired Kurt Brown. He's all Bob Marley all the time now. Astronaut in USA FA class in 1978 from the United States Air Force Academy, Ava Damon. Add a little footnote that Ava was here with us last week and left early for her job drop at the Academy. She found out she was assigned 6-2 E/E electrical engineering, so after graduation she'll be an electrical engineer in the Air Force. This is how it happens. You can applaud that too. From the University of Illinois, Justin Cow. United States Air Force Academy, sponsored by Lynn and Charlie Precourt, the astronaut and USA FA class of 1977. Madison Marsh. From the University of Chicago, sponsored by matching funds from the University of Chicago, Alexandria Masijian. From Washington University in St. Louis, Dani Metar. Auburn University's scholar, sponsored by Jacob Space Exploration Group, Maggie Nelson. From the University of Kansas, Katie Townsend. Or it may be Cade. Let's go with Cade. Get back to us on that. We'll correct it in the final edit. Sponsored by Valkyrie and Founders for the Future from Harvey Mudd College, Alec Vercruzi. And another round of applause for the entire 2022 Astronaut Scholar class. Before we hear from tonight's keynote speaker, you standing by, Jack? You ready to go? It's coming. He says he's awake. Good. So are we. It's really great to have you here. We're so glad you could do it, especially this year with the 50th anniversary coming up in December of 17. Before we hear from our keynote speaker, I'd like to invite North Carolina State University 2001-2002 Astronaut Scholar Alum and the 2020 COVID Season 1 Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence recipient, current NASA astronaut, Christina Cook. Christina, great to have you here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mark. It is great to be back with you all in person this year. I'd like to also add my thanks to the Board of Directors and Board of Trustees and everyone that works at the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation for all that you do for us and all the scholars here. For tonight's awarding of the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence, my continued thanks and gratitude to Rick and Mark Armstrong, Jim Hayes, and the selection committee. Welcome to all the astronaut scholars, the new class, the alumni, past award recipients. I feel the same sense of honor and privilege as I expressed last year, being among this group, to follow in the footsteps of the astronaut scholars who received this award with your incredible passion, achievements, and dedication. And for my final salutation, congratulations to the next recipient of the award, colleague and friend, Trent Kingery. I don't think this is a spoiler alert moment, but among Trent's many accomplishments and current roles, he serves as one of the Johnson Space Center's own research instructor pilots for the T-38 astronaut trainer jets. That means I am lucky enough to be one of his students and crewmates. Yes. He is one of the best. I couldn't be happier to be here as he is recognized. And Trent, I'm not just kissing up for my next check ride. The first time I spoke at an Astronaut Scholarship Gala was back in 2016, and I shared how receiving the scholarship propelled my dreams. Through providing top cover while I pieced together college part-time jobs and juggled majors, to shaking Sally Ride's hand at an Astronaut Scholar weekend, and hearing stories directly from the Apollo astronauts, many of which I might not should have heard. Last year, when I was honored to speak to accept the charge of receiving the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence, I shared how through Neil's legacy, a girl staring at the moon from her small hometown was formulating a dream by knowing that we had been there. And how that turned into gazing at that same moon from the cupola of the International Space Station on the 50th anniversary of Neil's landing, and that time knowing we're going there. And as I thought about what I would share this year, I realized, uh-oh, I don't have anything left. Luckily, this moment saved me. What a moment it is. Almost a year ago, when they started planning this event and I first signed up, there was no hint at all that it would end up on the same weekend as the Artemis 1 launch. What an awesome coincidence. That's right. When I visited Kennedy Space Center as an astronaut scholar, we saw rockets from the early programs, the Saturn V and the shuttle. But because of this stroke of luck, you all are the first to also see the SLS Artemis rocket. So, is there meaning to derive from this coincidence? For the sake of this speech, I really hope so. So, what is this moment, really? This is the moment that we gather to codify a standard by which we celebrate and honor contributions, to encourage greatness in the image of this award's namesake. We signal the importance of modeling, in deeds and character, Neil Armstrong's core values of service, accomplishment, and modesty. Specifically, it is a moment that we have chosen to award this model to a trainer, instructor, and mentor. This is the moment that we commemorate this recognition with words from the first member of the scientist astronaut class to fly in space, and the first and so far only person without a background in military aviation to have walked on the moon, a position that took new ways of preparation to enable success. A trainer, mentor, and trainee himself, Harrison Schmitt's insights mark tonight's occasion. This is the moment when a new generation's moon rocket sits on a launch pad, ready to fulfill its mission of answering humanity's call to explore. It sits on the sister pad of where 50 years ago, Apollo 17 crew with Jack Schmitt and his crewmates waited to fulfill their mission, one dedicated to scientific discovery and also, it may be said, to inclusion. So what is the thread that runs through this coincidental moment? I say it is readiness, confidence, the importance of training and preparation consolidated into a single moment of truth. The importance of believing that hard work and personal development lead to an end state that is worth it all. They say that the astronaut is the calmest person in the room on launch day. I never believed that until I experienced it. And my sense of calm wasn't because I was going to do something easy. It was exactly the opposite. I was going to do something that required every ounce of hard work and focus that I had. It was a consolidation of everything my training team had prepared me for. Every life experience, every dream, every goal, every failure, and every dust-off. And the people that I humbly share this stage with tonight embody that ethos of readiness that we see when we look at the Artemis rocket on its launch pad. Jack Schmitt, the geologist once trained by a NASA T-38 instructor to become an astronaut, now devotes his time to prepare future astronauts from all backgrounds to be geologists, one of which was me. Trent devotes his career to the safety, training, and development of future explorers, and now, future moonwalkers. They both know that without dedication to training, diligence, preparation, and leadership development, there can be no mission readiness. Just like the individual life achievements that are a consolidation of every experience that we have had, that moon rocket is a product of every person that contributed to its making. But unlike individual accomplishments, a rocket's readiness is for a benefit greater than itself. In an individual, the preparation invested and the dream realized are of one source. But when we pull together to do great things, like exploring the universe, it's an even more incredible feat. Those mission makers are trusted to devote their hard work and preparation to achieve others' dreams, a collective dream. Kind of reminds me of another group. Like those that contributed selflessly to build a rocket, there's another group of people that devotes their preparation to be ready to fulfill not only their own dreams, but the dreams of others. And that group that I'm thinking of is the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. Thank you all. And with that, it is my honor to introduce a very special video where the Honorable Harrison Schmitt will tell his story in his own words.
The primary goal was to resolve through observation and sampling some of the unresolved questions about the history of the moon and its relevance to the history of the sun and the history of the earth. For example, the ages of some of the major impact basins on the moon. These basins are hundreds of kilometers in diameter, formed by meteors or cometary impacts. Also, the ages of some of the volcanic eruptions, one of which looked to be very young based on the analysis of photographic images that had been taken prior to the Apollo 17 mission. The importance of the Apollo 17 mission as the final exploration mission of the Apollo series was that it could go to a very complex area with a geologist on board that could resolve some of these questions, or at least collect samples that could not be collected maybe anywhere else with the Apollo capabilities, that through the next many decades of analysis would begin to answer some of the unresolved questions about the history of the moon. Turns out that through the discovery of the orange soil that I made at a crater called Shorty, that very young appearing material was actually very old, 3.5 billion years old when it erupted. The Valley of Taurus Littrow, where the Apollo 17 landed, is a valley deeper than the Grand Canyon. The mountains on either side of the valley rise to thousands of feet in elevation. So you can see that it's a geologist's paradise in that you can see 3 dimensions of at least the upper crust of the moon. My most memorable moment in training was learning how to fly T-38 jet aircraft, because I was 10 years older than the normal undergraduate pilot in the Air Force, and I had to break some habits. I had to not focus on just one thing, but to learn how to scan rapidly the various data sources that you have in flying a high-performance jet aircraft, and to do it repetitively. That was a break from what I was used to doing as a scientist. As a scientist in a laboratory, or in the field, you can focus on one problem and then move to another one. You can't do that when you're flying a high-performance jet aircraft. You've got to continuously scan and integrate all that information into what is happening to your airplane. Well, launch day went very normally. We were going to launch about 10 o'clock at night on December 6th, 1972, and we got down in the launch countdown to 30 seconds, and the launch computer system stopped the launch at 30 seconds. That got your attention. And in particular, you're wondering now, does everything about this huge rocket, the Saturn V, does everything about that rocket know that we have stopped the launch? And indeed it had. All of that worked out very nicely. During that 2 hours and 40 minutes, once I heard the very calm voices of the launch director come on and said, well, we understand the problem. It's going to take us a while to sort it out, and it's a computer problem. As soon as I heard Skip Chauvin make those kind of very calm remarks to us, I was able to doze off and listen to the fans and the motors of the spacecraft and get caught up on some sleep. You never have enough sleep, believe me. One of the things that you notice as soon as you're outside the spacecraft and walking around on the moon is how different 1/6 gravity is from 1 gravity here on Earth. And you have to get used to that. Your spacesuit and you in it weighs about 370-some pounds. Divide that by 6, and it's something like 60-plus pounds in lunar weight. Now, the mass doesn't change, of course, but the weight changes, and you have to adjust to that change in weight and to the fact that the configuration of the suit and the portable life support system on your back moves your center of gravity about 2 inches to the rear. And that is just something you have to get used to, and you do. You get used to it very quickly, and that's one of the reasons when you see films of astronauts walking on the moon, they're leaning forward because they're moving that center of gravity over their feet. Now, sometimes you forget, and that tends to cause some difficulties. Now, primarily you start to fall. Now, you're not going to fall very fast or very hard in 1/6 gravity, so it's not a big deal, and it's easy to get up. All you have to do is push against the surface of the moon, and you get to your feet fairly easily. The main thing is that the observations and the data collected on the Apollo missions, the samples that were collected, are really a gift that keeps on giving. There are thousands of students, thousands of professors, thousands of researchers around, not only around the United States, but around the world, who work on these samples and learn new things almost every day. As a matter of fact, just 2 years ago, NASA released some of the samples from our mission that have been kept frozen. And those are being worked on now. I have the privilege of working with the University of New Mexico team and also a team of some 90 scientists throughout the world who are working in various ways with new analytical technology on these samples. It was a very important decision made 50-some years ago in that we would not work on all the samples. We would freeze some of them so that new technology could be applied to their analysis. And that is being done today. But also, we expect through the Artemis program, the new landing program on the moon, to have more samples. I think it's very important not to be too parsimonious with these samples that we have from Apollo, in that we certainly expect to have more samples coming back from the moon in the not too distant future. Well, the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, which was started by the Mercury astronauts many decades ago, is a very important component of building the understanding of science, technology, mathematics, and others relative to space in a new generation of young people. I think it is extraordinarily important that the scholarships that are offered by the ASF continue and grow so that there is a new generation of engineers, of scientists, of historians and others that can carry on the legacy of Apollo. And that is happening, and I certainly encourage the growth and continuation of that program.
Absolutely awesome. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Apollo 17 lunar module pilot, Harrison Schmitt.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christina. Congratulations on everything that you've done. It's just absolutely remarkable what has come from the foundation. I want to say, first of all, good evening. And second of all, protect your wine glasses. Some of you are aware of what I'm going to do. I don't think they protected their wine glass. For those of you who have no idea what's going on, those were little soft moon balls. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my heartfelt appreciation goes to the Neil Armstrong family, the Purdue Research Foundation, the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, and particularly to Jim Hayes for this opportunity to be with you tonight. And having realized that David Ray was going to be here from SAIC, I have a little bit of a conflict because I used to consult for them. But it's a great corporation and much appreciated your sponsorships. Okay, go ahead. And also, before I get into the so-called keynote address, we should recognize the newest member of the Armstrong family, Mary. Mary, would you stand? And being here also gives me, of course, a personal opportunity to congratulate Trent Kingery, and as the 2022 recipient of the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence. He and his family are with us, and Trent, it's been great to be with you the last few days. Just enjoyed it tremendously. And Logan, don't go away, I have something for you. Well, Neil Armstrong, as I hope Rick and Mark and Mary know, was my hero. He was also my friend. We worked together with many others to prepare Apollo 11 for its historic mission. And later, Neil provided his usual great wisdom, calmness, to the NASA Advisory Council I chaired during the Bush administration, the George W. Bush administration. I never met anyone other than Neil who could have better represented America as the first man on the moon, and I sincerely mean that. Neil was always prepared for what might be asked of him. Just one example, a small one, but still an important indication of his character. At an advisory council lunch at NASA's Langley Research Center in Virginia, Neil spontaneously began to talk about the history of the Langley Center, much to the surprise of everyone present. But for 20 minutes, he totally captivated those present with detail and context about the center and its history. A remarkable tour de force. Now let me talk a little bit, though, about innovation, the cornerstone for this gala. From my perspective, innovation by individuals and teams has four essential components: motivation, preparation, imagination, and of course, execution. Motivation is that component of innovation that we may have the least control over. In many cases, motivation probably relates to the relationship we have with our parents, our guardians, our mentors when we were children. What examples did they set for us? Was there instilled an intangible desire to not disappoint them? Did their beliefs and motivations translate into a drive to serve God, country, family, and others who were close to us? Was there some particular person or event in life that determined the path one would follow into the future? Maybe tonight's occasion is one of those events. Motivation in the over 400,000 Americans and their families that led to the success of Neil Armstrong's landing on the moon ultimately was fed by patriotism. Patriotism born of the threat posed to human freedom by the Soviet Union. The triggers to patriotism in my Apollo colleagues, both NASA and far more abundantly in industry, came from individual sources and events. Belief in the American dream, further stimulated by Sputnik, military service, engineering, or scientific curiosity, by the desire not to fail others, by the spirit of competition. Even then, the tinder into which the spark of patriotism flashed was formed by many earlier experiences and exposures in life. Something to behold, for example, was the extraordinary patriotic reaction in Mission Control Center when the Apollo 8's comm signal was received at exactly the second it should have been received, as CSM-103 sped home from behind the moon. Now, preparation that leads to innovation requires the widest possible exposure to critical thinking, as reflected in literature and history, and particularly in problem solving. Members of the Apollo generation were generally exposed, fortunately, to such preparation by an educational system in which critical thinking and true knowledge were primary objectives. In recent decades, these primary objectives have been diluted in public education, as many of you are already aware, and even diluted in much private education by a lack of parental exposure to the political agendas of the so-called educational elite. However, that appears to be changing, as it should. Since Apollo, individuals have been much more on their own to overcome the decay of elementary, secondary, and advanced education systems, particularly relative to critical thinking and true knowledge. Fortunately, many individuals have risen to embrace this responsibility, many of whom are ASF scholars with us tonight. Thank you very much for doing so. During Apollo, the effects of preparation in critical thinking were evident everywhere. But I want you to remember as I go on that the average age of the Apollo engineers throughout the Apollo program was still in the 20s. As an example of critical thinking in Apollo, if a system anomaly appeared in test or at flight, a small team of relevant individuals would spontaneously gather around a table with the available data and experience. I was fascinated by this process. The team would quickly work out what caused the anomaly, determine what options existed for resolving or working around the issue, and present those options and the team's recommendations to management within the time available for decisions, sometimes mostly overnight. The interactive expertise of these youthful teams as a whole was greater than the sum of the expertise of the individuals comprising them. The most extraordinary example of this process, of course, was seen in the successful recovery of the Apollo 13 crew, Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert. Imagination as a component of innovation was rampant, of course, during Apollo. Anytime there was an issue to be solved, or indeed an opportunity to take advantage of, individuals and ad hoc teams never hesitated to move a new idea forward for management's consideration. The path from a good idea to a management decision was very short. For example, flying Apollo 8 into lunar orbit in December of 1968, when issues with the lunar module and the Saturn V threatened the program's momentum, took only 4 months from decision to do so to launch. Moving the launch day of Apollo 10 forward by only 1 day, so more potential landing sites for Apollo 11 could be observed and photographed, and a daylight splashdown could occur as well, took only 2 meetings during 1 week. Many of you probably have forgotten that Apollo 8 splashed down in the dark. That became important at that time. Gaining 3 more seconds of hover time for Neil by rapidly developing a small experiment package powered by the sun as a substitute for initially planned but heavy science experiment package took only 1 meeting. Showing that the Apollo 13 lunar module guidance platform could be realigned by sighting on the crescent Earth took a few hours by the simulator crew I was working with down in Florida. Looking at a table covered by items in Apollo 17's Challenger cabin to come up with a fix for a broken lunar rover fender took overnight. My goodness. A solution quickly presented itself, in that case, in the form of photo maps unneeded, light clamps unneeded, and of course, grade duct tape. There are just a few examples, these are just a few examples of imaginative thinking that took advantage of the flexibility and rapid response possible within the Apollo management system. One other example of imagination dear to my heart was Neil's spontaneous decision to fill the Apollo 11 rock box with lunar soil. In his words, when I asked him about it, quote, "With just the rocks in it, it looked a little empty, so I filled it up with soil," unquote. This soil sample became the basis of our early understanding and continuing understanding now of the resource potential of the moon, not only in space, but also back here on Earth. And finally, execution is the final essential ingredient in innovation. Certainly the success of over 400,000 Americans in meeting President Kennedy's challenge to land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth shows how motivation, preparation, and imagination came together with talent, skill, and sacrifice. Successful execution in Apollo provided a principal catalyst for eventually ending the Cold War, for beginning the movement of human civilization into space, and for beginning the understanding of the early history of the Earth and indeed the origin of life. Now, the remarkable history, extraordinary service, and current commitments of tonight's 2022 Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence, Trent Kingery, epitomize all the ingredients of innovation: motivation, preparation, imagination, and in execution that continues today. In addition, Trent is a Marine, as was Neil, and as was my father, by the way. Once again, congratulations, Trent. Outstanding. Now, finally, I would like to express my deep appreciation to Kurt Brown and the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation Board, and to Caroline Schumacher for honoring the 50th anniversary of Apollo 17 this evening. And also to Robert Holmes for the scholarship in my name. Much appreciated. Thank you all. And now I have the privilege of asking Mark and Rick Armstrong to the stage.
If I could just take a note from Mark Larson and go off script for 1 second and speak to the new astronaut scholars. There's, I don't know, what does it take to be like my dad, or like our dad? And just something very simple came to my mind as I was listening to Jack. One, do the job that you've been asked to do, and do it well. Two, prepare yourself for the job that you want to do. The thing in the future, you may not know what it is, it's maybe just one little step, but prepare yourself for that next step. And figure out a way, and this is very, very important, to do that unselfishly. If you can figure that out, you'll figure out why Trent is getting this award tonight. The Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence came into being in order to acknowledge an astronaut scholar alum who has done phenomenal work. This award serves as a prestigious recognition for those who continually push the boundaries in their fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
The recipient of this award exemplifies the personal character and professional achievement that mirror the value of our late father. We have the distinct honor and privilege to present the 2022 award to the ASF Astronaut Scholar Alum, Trent Kingery.
So I get to follow a world record astronaut and an Apollo moonwalker. Wow. What a tough acts to follow. So I'll do my best. I'm gonna take this to a personal level. So, you'll see what I want to talk about: events and people that have led me to be here today. So there are many that I'm not going to mention, but I want to specifically talk about certain stories. And because I'm a retired Marine and I just turned 50, I need these. So if I can get them out. So just bear with me for a second. Welcome and thank you to everyone for being here to celebrate the Innovators of Tomorrow, our newest scholars that are absolutely amazing. And if you were not fortunate enough to attend the Innovators Conference, it was absolutely amazing. And I think when I walked into the room, the average IQ level dropped substantially. So amazing presentations, and I loved them all. And I also want to celebrate Neil Armstrong's legacy through the Neil Armstrong Award of Excellence Award. I want to first thank the Astronaut Scholarship Board of Directors and the judging panel for selecting me as the 2022 recipient. It was an absolute shock and quite funny how they notified me. They lured me into a Zoom call, thinking that I was going to set up a regional group of scholars in the Houston area because we're dominating. So, and during that call, Kurt, he asked me if I could give a speech at the end of August, to which I replied, and I was planning on being here anyway, so I knew kind of what he was talking about, so I figured I would poke back to him and said, oh, I have a busy schedule, but I'll see what I can do. It made it easy by inviting the leadership at Johnson Space Center, so Norm and Steve here, and also I rescheduled the launch of Artemis to coincide with this gala so that they could come, and I could delay an extra day to watch the launch, so it all worked out well. So thank you for being here, Steve and Norm. Glad to have you here. So thank you to the Purdue Research Foundation, the Armstrong family, and Neil Armstrong's friend Jim Hayes for establishing this prestigious award and gala. So it's come a long way in 5 years. I was at the very first one, and it was amazing then, and it still is now. So thank you for establishing this Innovators Gala to all of you, including Mary. So she's part of the family now. So it is a wonderful forum to meet new scholars, make them feel welcome into the foundation, and add fuel to the fire of their innovation. I want to acknowledge my family members that are present today. My mom, Diane, my stepfather, Bruce, my children, Zane, Brianna, Brennan, and Logan. So for everybody who doesn't know Logan, my call sign is Beef, and his is Riblet. So the fighter guys in my previous squadron, whenever he was born, they named him Riblet. So very cute. Brianna's husband, Omar, and Zane's girlfriend, Devin. So thank you for being here. I also want to thank Liz and Coda for being here. My father, Ted, my brother, Travis, and my sister, Kara, and her family could not make it today, but they will be able to watch this video. So they have expressed how proud they are of me, and they wish they could be present. Unfortunately, I have never had the honor of meeting Neil in person other than as an audience member. I've read and seen movies about him on numerous occasions. Two of my favorite photos of him, let's see, hopefully I can, this is my first favorite photo of him, was when he was a NACA and NASA research pilot like me, or at least we had the same title. So I didn't fly the X-15, but I would love to. My other favorite photo of him was taken 5 years after he made his historic walk on the moon, where he's teaching a class on aerodynamic performance at the University of Cincinnati. It shows that he loved teaching and passing down knowledge to those who are eager to learn. That is what is crazy is that I know exactly what he's teaching here. I aspire to teach college one day when I grow up, just like Dr. Sega. I saw Neil as an audience member during the Tour Legends for the Troops in 2010 in Qatar, and that was an amazing experience. Getting to hear Neil, Gene, and Jim Lovell's stories were amazing. So you can't, it was absolutely cherished that, so that was, the USO tour was amazing for the troops. So being an astronaut scholar provides unique experiences, allowing us to meet Hall of Fame astronauts, network with them and other scholars, and get to know them and the supporters of the foundation. Over the years, I've been privileged to meet, befriend, and such wonderful legacy scholars like Lisa, Larry, Joseph, Jessica, Patrick, Ryan, Sarah, Christina, Jarrett, Matt, and Fiona. And non-scholar supporters like Rick and Mark, Laura, Jill, and Steve, to name a few. There's plenty more out there. So I want to show you this photo. This was taken at the 2017, the inaugural gala in D.C., where Patrick Belkin was bestowed the award. I look forward every time I'm able to attend an event like this to see them. I would like to concentrate for a minute on the lady on the right. I will say that Lisa Schott is one of the primary reasons we are here celebrating the new scholars. She's over there. There she is. She has been the bedrock of the scholars for decades. We have known each other for 24 years now, and I've enjoyed seeing her and George at every ASF event. And also when I visit KSC for work, I try to see them. And they keep on trying to get me to play golf, but I don't bring my clubs and I don't bring my shoes, so I have to pass. Lisa has been an advocate for the scholars since the late 1980s. I'd like to share the first of a few stories with you, though. In 1990, she developed a relationship with Dr. Al Miller, who was the Mercury 7 Scholarship Committee Chairman and also a professor at UCF at the time. He asked Lisa if she could do some research the old school way without Google and the internet and track down all these scholars and provide a presentation to the Mercury 7 Scholarship Board, which included the Mercury 7 astronauts, on the things that the scholar alumni were doing and their success stories. The astronauts and board members loved it and wanted more scholar involvement. About 5 years later, Lisa told the Mercury 7 astronauts that she was really enjoying getting to meet them every year and also enjoyed meeting each scholar and getting to know the scholars. Lisa suggested, and I quote, "Why don't we invite all the scholars to come meet you each year like I do?" They agreed. So the scholarship committee invited all current and past scholars to come to Orlando at the time of the board meeting to meet them. 8 scholars attended the first year, and here we are today. So we have 68 new scholars and 60 in attendance, so it's amazing, and we have several of the legacy scholars here. She has been our advocate since 1990, and all of you and I would not be here if it weren't for her. I will say that. I'll start out this speech with a question. And some of you might know this. How do you know when there's a fighter pilot in the room? The answer, he'll tell you. Being given 15 to 20 minutes to talk about himself is a fighter pilot's dream. Scooter? Okay. Doug, I think you're over there. So I won't rattle off my past achievements like my dad joke might allude to. They're in my bio, my resume, and on LinkedIn. I will, however, throw out some flying pictures and videos so you don't fall asleep. Some of them are Norm and I flying. What I want to talk about are the key people and the key events in my life that have led me to be where I am today. There are many people that have helped steer my path over the years. Technical achievements are amazing, but the people that give you support and help lift you up and reach the stars is priceless. It's about the people in your life that help steer you in life. My mom, so if I get a little choked up, sorry. So my mom set the standard for working hard, playing harder, and getting an education. She was my role model. Raising 2 young boys as a single mom, working 3 jobs, and going to school whether it was in the university, the local technical college, or tennis lessons. In 1985, she also applied for a teacher in space project. She made getting an education interesting and a must-have in her life, and now mine. Her unwavering support throughout my life is why I'm here today. When I was in high school, I wanted to join the military. However, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Since the Navy recruiter told me that I could possibly go to BUD/S, that's training to go to be a SEAL. I was ready to sign. I think he was lying to me, though. We scheduled a date and time to sign. Well, he never showed up to the signing, believe it or not. Sorry, Navy, I pass on you. I then went to the Army recruiter, and he told me that he could guarantee that I could go to Ranger training. He kept saying, but you have to sign today. You have to sign today. It's only good for today. I said, thank you for your time, and I walked out. I needed time to think about it. Sorry, Army. I passed on the Air Force recruiter's office, no offense to Kurt. It had nothing to do with the service. It's just that if I had known about their golf courses and full service cafeterias and apartment barracks, I may have considered it. I then went into the Marine recruiter's office, and there was a sergeant that must have just finished bench pressing 500 pounds and painted on his khaki shirt and his dress blue trousers. He said, "Son, can I help you?" I timidly replied, "Yes, sir. I'm going around to the recruiters to see what each has to offer." And the Air Force would have been next, by the way. He then replied in a deep, sincere voice, "Well, if you want to be the world's finest, you're in the right place. If not, don't waste my effing time." Granted, he didn't say effing. So my response to his crude, direct, and in my opinion, honest statement was, "I like you." He said that he and the Marine Corps was what I was looking for. He told me not to even consider joining until I attended one of his delayed entry weekend meetings to make sure that I loved it. I did, and I loved it. Without the Navy recruiter not showing up and Sergeant Bench Press being directly honest, I wouldn't be here today. On to my dad, and one of the most important ultimatums unbeknownst to me at the time that would steer my career path. First of all, he served in the Marines in the mid to late 1960s as an infantryman, also known as a grunt. Since I was of minor age and signed away my life in a contract, he would have to sign to enlist the enlistment contract with me. I felt like I wanted to be infantry and hopefully recon or the Marine Corps Special Forces. He told me that he would sign, but only if I get a guaranteed technical military occupational specialty, or MOS, that could be used after serving. I looked down the list of options with the recruiter and saw avionics technician. I asked the recruiter, what was that? Because it sounds fancy. He said, "That is where you work on and fix aircraft." I asked if I qualified. He said, "Yes." I said, "I'll do that then." Easy. Now, working on aircraft wasn't on my radar at the time. Flying fighter aircraft definitely wasn't either. I don't even think I had seen the original Top Gun at the time either. No offense, Scooter. But it is one of my favorite movies. Second favorite now. So, no. I love the new one. Don't get me wrong. I love the old one also. This ultimatum put me on the aviation path. Without my dad's ultimatum, I wouldn't be here today. This was me, the last minute as a civilian. Little did I know, 32 years later, I would still, this would be the longest I've ever had my hair. My next influencer was my commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel R.B. Johnson, Rick. I was planning on serving my 5 years of active duty, get an education, and return home to the Carolinas to work as a manager in a textile mill. I put in for my early out for education, where a service member can have their end of active service moved up if you're attending college. Colonel Johnson said he'll approve it, but wanted me to consider Marine Corps Enlisted Commissioning Educational Program, or MECEP, and hopefully return to the squadron to fly as a pilot down the road. I talked it over with my wife, and she really wanted us to get out. So we came to an agreement that I would apply for both, and if I don't get MECEP, then I will get out. Fast forward 6 months, while my squadron and I were on deployment in Okinawa, Japan, the MECEP list officially was published. Me working on a Prowler radar. Colonel Johnson called me into his office and said, "Unfortunately, son, that you didn't make the cut." He said he thought it would have been a sure thing, especially since I had 60 hours of college already and a 4.0 GPA. So I accepted the 90-day early out program and returned to Cherry Point early to start transitioning to civilian life. My wife and I had already found a place to live in Cowpen, South Carolina, and I enrolled in college at the University of South Carolina in Spartanburg to finish my bachelor's. Life was set until the squadron returned. After Colonel Johnson landed from flying across the Pacific, I debriefed him on the systems of the jet that he flew from Japan. That was when the colonel said, "Congratulations, Sergeant Kingery." I was like, "Sir?" He said, "I called the president of the MESEP board at Headquarters Marine Corps, and they didn't select you due to an error on their part. So I had them review the application of your application package, and they remediated the board just for you and added you to the new list. Your reenlistment will take place next week, and you get to go to the college of your choice, which was NC State." I've never been so happy and scared in my life at the same time. Scared that I had to tell my wife, "Remember those plans we had?" R.B. Johnson went above and beyond for me, and I wouldn't be here without him today. May he rest in peace. My next influencer is present today. Dr. Tom Brown, my statics professor at NC State. Raise your hand, sir. He is present today with us and is wonderful reconnecting with him after 25 years. And thank you for attending, sir. During my freshman statics class, he would talk about moments and forces in equilibrium. He described an F-4 Phantom that had an engine failure and discussed the forces and moments exerted on it around the center of gravity with the good engine's thrust. It was amazing to hear his sea story and apply it in college class. Fast forward 3 years when I applied for the College of Engineering scholarship. Dr. Brown was a member on the selection board and remembered me. He knew I was an active duty Marine, successful aerospace engineering student, and that I participated in organizations and societies at school. He recommended that the board pass on me for the College of Engineering scholarship, only because he thought I would be a perfect candidate for the Astronaut scholarship. He contacted me directly and told me that I had 2 days to write an essay, generate a resume, and that he had already contacted 2 of my professors to write letters of recommendation. So thank you, Dr. Brown. I wouldn't be here without you. Go Wolfpack. Go Wolfpack. That's Christina and I flying after our flight. This was your navigation, I think, your return the flight to T-38 flight. So it was wonderful flying with her, and I brought that along for the flight. My current PhD advisor and professor at Colorado State is present, Dr. Ron Siga. He's a 2-time shuttle astronaut, STS-60, STS-76, retired Air Force Major General, and has served our country in many other areas. He is a mentor and definitely a person that anyone can look up to. Thank you for being here and putting up with my dissertation extensions. I really hope I'll finish this fall. So please raise your hand. So, wonderful man. My current job as at NASA is a dream job, to say the least. Ray Heineman was the one that brought me on at NASA JSC with Greg Johnson. I'm sure some of you know Greg. And they brought me as a research pilot in December of 2017. They actually stole me from Wallops, so that was good. Norm Knight, the director of flight ops, and Steve Kerner, they saw the potential in me to be the chief of aviation safety, and Norm officially brought me on in August of last year as the chief of aviation safety at JSC. Those decisions gave me direction that I needed in my life and where I am today. So thank you, gentlemen. So, my most important influencers are here today. My beautiful and hilariously fun children. When someone asks me what I enjoy doing in my off time, I say that I absolutely love seeing them. And now throw in, so real quick, this was, I took them to see STS-118 launch, and we were with Al Worden on the balcony at the Saturn V, seeing it launch. It was an absolutely amazing experience. And then we went to KSC, and he was there, so I absolutely miss him. So now throw in this cute picture. This is for you, Scooter. Because I was inverted. So I bought that specifically for Jace because of Top Gun. There will always be the favorite things in my life. So they're up here in this front table. Being a military service member is tough on families, especially children. You miss Christmases, birthdays, first days at school, and more. Here's a letter that my daughter Brianna, who is 25 now, wrote in 2004 when she was in second grade. Don't ding her on the misspellings, though. My daddy is a Marine. At first, he was gone for 30 days. Then he was gone for 30 days again. And then he had to go for 60 days. And then another 60 days. He is gone for a whole month right now. After this, he will be gone for 6 months. And that little line underneath there is not to be mean, but help the country. This letter is a mix of patriotism, sacrifice, cuteness, and sadness all bundled up in one. Serving one's country takes time, takes family support, and you all helped me make it happen. Thank you. Thank you for your love, your understanding, your support over the years while I continue to grow up. Military branches of the United States are like no other. I am proud of anyone that has volunteered to serve in any military branch, no matter their service time. It takes courage, patriotism, commitment to volunteer to put yourself in harm's way. From a fighter pilot's personal point of view, in current times, I will say that, training for combat is more dangerous than actual combat flying. Definitely not the case in the Vietnam era. And so we learned from their, I've had several friends that have given their lives while in military service. Most are during training events. We learn from their events and hopefully not duplicate what happened to them. I often think about every one of my brothers and sisters in arms that are no longer with us. Receiving the Astronaut Scholarship is a life-changing event. To all the new scholars, you are members of something special. The potential of being an integral part of this amazing organization is there for before you, and those of you who are here in person have taken the steps. I've made some amazing friends within the foundation. You too, you will too. It has grown so much since Lisa was first asked to present scholar success stories in 1990. The foundation is strong with staff and volunteers. The number of scholarships that are awarded each year is a result of their hard work and dedication to organize such events. Managing schedules of scholars, astronauts, guests, and by the way, I've heard herding cats is much easier. Thank you, Caroline, and your staff for everything that you do on a daily basis. It wouldn't happen without you and your staff, and we love you for it. Here are a couple of photos and videos over the years I'd like to share with you. Some are flying, and some are with the Astronaut Scholarship meetings, and you've seen a couple already. So this one, we auctioned off the flag. I flew a flag over Iraq for the foundation, and they had it hanging up in their office for years. And then they asked, hey, we would like to see if you would be willing to donate that flag at an auction at one of the AHOF galas. I said, sure. So this went for 15 grand. So it was an amazing experience with being with Bob Crippen and the comedian at the podium, Al Warden. Here are a couple other pictures of flying. So kind of brings back memories, right, Doug? So have flying F-18s. So this was over the Persian Gulf in Iraq. Here's a couple other pictures. The red helmet is very similar to yours, sir. So this was coming back from SLF and going ahead and bringing a jet back from SLF, which is a shuttle landing facility, to Houston. This was on the way back from Iraq in 2006. We were tanking, this picture was taken from a KC refueler aircraft, and that was me in the lead. Here's my last flight in Iraq in 2006. That's my Wizzo, my backseater, Mike Tweak Conte. And that was not a setting sun, that was a rising sun, because we had the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. bowl. But that was my last flight. And if you look off under the wings, there's a loadout of GBUs. Here's one of the scholarships at one of the AHOF galas that we have, and we were able to go up to see the space shuttle. This was the 2018 induction. So there's some of the legacy astronaut scholars. This was taken fairly recently a month ago actually. We were in Greenland and we were flying up into the North Pole measuring polar ice with the ISAT-2 satellite so it can be calibrated. There's a picture of, actually I think this is a video, but I don't know. South Texas, watching the SpaceX. And this is Norm's loop. So here's a takeoff. at Johnson Space Center. Here's a video from that was taken a month ago up at near the North Pole. We were at 1,600 feet and on a precise line while the satellite was crossing. So we had and we were measuring the polar ice as the satellite flew over top so they can calibrate it. I was looking out for polar bears. And here's another, this was a different. Here's video from 2006, my deployment in Iraq. Thank you for, it was in a format that was really old. So we were able to tailor it for here. So my Wizzo Conte was filming as I was flying. That was our Lightning Pod, which was an absolute marvel piece of gear to have over in Iraq. And we have the laser-guided bombs up on the left wing of his. That is a real AIM-9 missile. We had to fly with them over in Iraq at the time, and you have a JDAM, 500-pound JDAM bomb underneath the wing. And that was after we came back from a tanking evolution, going to our next assignment. This was over Baghdad. You'll see Baghdad in the foreground, and that's a KC 135, which we call the Iron Maiden, because it's absolute torture to fly and have your probe in the basket with only 9 feet of hose, and you have to be in position. It was at night. There were no lights. We had to do it under night vision goggles. And you see Baghdad in the foreground. This was coming back into Al-Assad, Iraq. We actually flew in formation, and we did maneuver so that we can come in high speed at idle. And towards the end, you'll actually see the airfield of Al-Assad, Iraq in there. This is the F-18, by the way, the D model. There's the runways and the hangars. It's interesting, the hangars all had holes that were sealed up in all the hangars. And here's my final picture. This is a flyover for John Young that we did for his flyover at the Memorial Gardens. I was Dash 5. Rob Coolin was in my back seat, and he was the one that was taking the pictures as I was flying. So as a Dash 5, you're the backup in case any of the 4 fall out. You fill in, and you continue with the mission. And everybody made it, so I got to come home as a single. But we got a lot of good pictures. So I hope you enjoyed my stories. There are plenty more about flying, the Marine Corps, and ASF. All you need to do is add bourbon, like a gremlin. If you can take anything away from this presentation, be a mentor, help others achieve their goals, find your niche, and strive to be the expert. And on a personal note, I'm still growing up. The saying is, once a Marine, always a Marine. Well, I can apply it to being a scholar too. Once a scholar, always a scholar. Thank you.
Nicely done.
I'll leave it up here. Thank you.
Thanks, Trent. That was great. That was awesome, wasn't it? What a night. You could applaud that again. That's great. Great stuff. And Jack, a fine keynote as well. A couple of housekeeping things here before we start the second half of our program. Want to see if you're paying attention. Again, congratulations to Trent with the award this year and our scholars. So proud of you and all of your accomplishments. Time to pull out those raffle tickets, and you're saying, well, it's about time. We're going to get to it now. And after we announce the winners for all the prizes, we want you to come up to the stage and collect your prizes, or we'll follow you home. So that'll be good to know. First up, we have, in fact, I don't know who's going to assist me here with the... That's good. By the way, Justine, is the baby here yet? No. Could be any minute. I said today, she said, if you make the baby come tonight, I said, we could have naming rights. We could have a great fundraiser for ASF. It'd be great. Said, no, thanks. And then she wanted to kill me, but that's okay. First up, we have the Copper Moon Coffee Basket. And the first raffle winner, check your tickets. I know this is a riveting part of the program. And of course, I can't see them up here. I had LASIK once. I got it again 3 times tonight. It's great. Here, let's try this. Oh, it's beautiful. They're all red tickets, I assume, right? 997-6143. 6143. Speak now, and we'll have you. You want to get a picture of this great moment for your keepsake book. Next up, we have a basket from Blue Origin and Laura Shepard Churchley, because, she's been on Blue Origin now. And the winner for the basket is, coming to me slowly. Not drawing? I don't want to be involved in the drawing. So be blamed. Oh, this is the blue ticket this time. And this one is 253-007, 253-007. And we have a basket from our partners at the Kennedy Center, Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. The winner, soon to be revealed, is, did you want to draw? Oh, I'm all right. It's a red ticket. And this one is, try to memorize these if you could, 997-6167. 6167. And thanks to our Astronaut Scholar alum and co-founder of Oros, Michael Marksbury, we have 2 incredible jackets to give away. The winner of the women's version, survey says, 253-041. 253-041. That's exciting, because normally at this point in the program, half the people who have the numbers have already gone somewhere. They're in the restroom or something. So I'm impressed so far. Let's see if we can keep this up. Winner of the men's Oros jacket is... Whoop. Take the top one stuck there. Right? 253-015. 253-015 for the men's jacket. Huh. George, you got that? Wow. Is that okay with you, Lisa? Is that right? Okay, good. And last but certainly not least, let's find out the winner of the Lenovo laptop. Want to make sure that doesn't stick to that one. Apparently some dessert left on these tickets. Red ticket 997-6155. 6155. Hey! Hey! Thank you. Congratulations to all of our raffle winners. Come up to the stage and receive these prizes, as you've all been doing. I'd like to bring Caroline back up here as well. And any parting comments? Any last-minute raffle additions? Housekeeping with Caroline.
Just scholars, don't forget we're taking a group photo before we depart this evening, so do not leave unless you've been in a group photo. If you haven't been in one, we're not there yet. So thank you to everyone who supports us, who makes this possible throughout the year, every year, and tonight. We appreciate you so much. And scholars, congratulations again. Trent, congratulations. Harrison, thank you. Jim Hayes, Armstrong family, everyone who's been involved, thank you so much. It's a great evening.
And another round of applause for Trent and all the astronaut scholars, for Dr. Schmitt tonight. I want to thank all of you for helping us celebrate this very special night. Again, thanks to Jim Hayes, our signature sponsor, bringing this vision to fruition over the last several years from the inception, and thanks to the Armstrong family. Thank you for your support of Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, making our original 7 proud and taking America into bold places in the future. What a great weekend to be here for Artemis. Let's hope everything goes nicely on target, everything good on Monday, and we'll see you next year. Thank you. God bless you.